What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, we are talking hardcore. We got a fun episode. I think you're going to like it. We're breaking down the new Scowl LP. We're breaking down the new Chisel LP. We're putting the first HopeCon record up against the first Tragedy record. We got a story from Adam from Excel about Darby Crash, and Dan Sant is stepping up to defend his crown against Jeremy Smith in trivia. Super fun episode. I think you're going to like it, especially because, episode 1, the legend Joe Rivas, he's joining us again. So that's what's up. Also, just wanted to talk some other stuff. I went and saw Scowl and Zulu last week. Shout out to Dustin Vogel for the ticket. Much appreciated, my friend. And, man, these bands were good. I seen Scowl at the Powerhouse Comeback show the first night up in San Francisco. They're super good. They brought the heat this past week. And Zulu, good God, man. This might be one of the best hardcore bands I've ever seen live. I mean, I'll just straight say they are, Like, hardcore has never been better than it is right now, and it has been in the last few years. And it's so fun to talk about hardcore on this podcast with my friends. I love you all for listening and for supporting, but it's all about being in the room and supporting the bands, right? So there are some bands out right now that are the greatest things I've ever seen. I saw Drain earlier this year in September, and they are straight up one of the greatest hardcore bands live of all time. Like, it is crazy. You got to see them. You got to go see Zulu. This stuff is like mind-blowing. Being in the room is what it's all about. And so support hardcore. Much respect for supporting the podcast, but support the bands, right? That's what's up. But back to supporting the podcast. Please support it by subscribing to it wherever you listen to it. Also, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, if you could rate it and review it, that would be awesome. I do not know why it matters, but it does. So it matters to me. I've seen those recent reviews. It is much appreciated. Thanks to everyone that's taking the time to do that. I love you all. Also, on the website, 185milessouth.com, there is a playlist for every episode. So click that link. You can check out all the songs that we're talking about, all the bands, because this is about the music. That's what's up. Also, while you're there, smash that Patreon button. The Patreons are the people that keep this podcast alive. $1 gets behind the paywall. We're trying to do Patreon episodes every other week, and it's fun. We get down, we get loose, and it's a good time. Also, shout out Stella. Happy birthday. Thank you for all the yellow curry tofu. It is much appreciated. And let's get on with the pod.
185 Miles South, a hardcore punk rock podcast.
Questions and answers.
Introducing first, the challenger, fighting out of the hard corner. From St. Helena, California, by way of Buffalo, New York. Many have tried to stump him, he denied their vision. Blessed with the voice of Bruce, the attitude of Paul, and the spirit of Blaze, it's Jeremy D. Smith! And his opponent, fighting out of the core corner. From parts unknown, weight unknown. Reason he didn't pick Minor Threat in the Straight Edge Super 7, unknown. It is the reigning, defending, undisputed 185 Miles South Trivia Champion of the world, Daniel, these questions are too easy, Sant!
All right, and we are going to send the first question to Jeremy Smith. All right, Jeremy. Which member of the Misfits has a name that rhymes with soil?
Doyle.
Point to Jeremy. All right.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
We're just starting this out here. Come on. Gotta get some off the bat. Plus, I write these for you guys to get 7 out of 7. Come on. All right. Dan, let's go to you for your question number 1. Dan, what type of flooring is in the name of the first track on the No Effects LP, Punk in Drublic?
Well, that is a form of flooring known as linoleum.
A point to the champ. See, and that's a question that you would have been butthurt if someone else got.
Hey, I'm gonna express my brand. Being butthurt is my brand.
That's right. That's right. All right, Jeremy, the last time you were on here, you got the greatest question I ever wrote that involved Killing Time, and I got to hit you again. Okay. The cover of the Killing Time LP Bright Side depicts a person peering through a crack in the door. Does the picture show a chain on the door? And if so, what color is it?
I'm going to go with yes, chain, and it's gold.
A point to Jeremy. How about that? All right, Dan, your question number 2. And right in your wheelhouse. I served this one up for you.
Oh, God. That's the kiss of death.
Now, Dan, was the Whitecap song Get Beer on the Cinema Beer Goggles VHS or the Cinema Beer Tay VHS?
That's on the Cinema Beer Goggles VHS.
We go to Jeremy for the potential steal. Jeremy, was the Whitecap song Get Beer on the Cinema Beer Goggles VHS or the Cinema Beer Tay VHS?
I'm going to go with option number 2, the Cinema Beer, did you say Beer Tay?
A point to Jeremy.
Yeah.
Epic steal. Right out of Dan's wheelhouse. Fuck. Okay, and we go to Jeremy for round number 3. Jeremy, Youth of Today's LP Break Down the Walls originally came out on this label before being later repressed on Revelation.
That would be Wishing Well Records.
A point to Jeremy. Dan, time to step it up. Come on. Here we go. Dan, round number 3. Dan, on the No for an Answer 7-inch, a guitar is depicted. Are all of the 6 strings intact?
Well, are you trying to say that No for an Answer have like a Presidents of the United States Peaches vibe going on?
I'm not familiar with college rock.
Come on. You know, you've gone to the country and you've had a lot of peaches.
No, I know that I used to go to this shitty Irish bar by my pad, and like that was one of the covers people did, like this Irish band. It was terrible.
Band covered that song?
Yeah, like
Oh my God.
yeah, it was bad.
Well, I'm going to say that all 6 strings are not intact.
We go to Jeremy for the potential steal.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Jeremy, on the
There
No
are
for an Answer. Let me read the
There are 6 there are 6 strings on Gavin Ogilvy's guitar.
Another steal from Jeremy.
I do know there's a Final Conflict sticker on it.
Absolutely there is.
And a Minor Threat one, I think.
Well, Final Conflict, one of the best LPs of 1987 in a not the best era for the straightforward hardcore lane. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go to Jeremy for round number 4. Jeremy, this New Jersey hardcore band had a split 7-inch with No Escape. Also, the name is a great 25 to Life song off the Strength Through Unity album.
That would be Turning Point.
A point to Jeremy. How about that? And Daniel, we go back to you for your question number 4. Dan,
I'd like to say there is a disparity in these questions, but hurtness aside.
dude, is there 6 strings on a guitar? Come on.
Yeah, but the reason that you ask that is because it's probably that there isn't.
No, I wanted to serve up an easy one for you so you wouldn't get all butthurt.
Is there a snake?
Well, now I'm butthurt.
Is there a snake on the Blitz album cover? Is there 6 strings on a guitar? I don't know.
We've been there. And that would be no and then yes.
I'm going to win it all back on the 25 to Life round anyway.
Possibly. Okay, Dan, your question number 4. Zach De La Rocha, whatever, played guitar for this band who released a 7-inch on Workshed Records in 1988.
Hard Stance.
Point to the champ. Boom. Don't call it a comeback. All right, Jeremy, round number 5. What is Discord Records number 2?
Discord Records number 2 would be the Minor Threat self-titled 7-inch.
We go to Dan for the potential steal.
Oh, damn.
Dan, what is Discord Records number 2?
Youth Brigade.
No points this round. It is SOA No Policy 7.
Ah.
I'm trying to think. It was one of the 4 7-inches from the 4 7-inch EP. You know.
Wow,
Dude.
we both posed hard on that one. We posed hard. Wow.
Well,
Drop the ball.
And now Dan cannot complain about you getting all the easy questions. How about that?
no, that was a hard question. Well, I mean,
Dude, it's just Discord 1 to 5.
hard-ish.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, when you're under the pressure, it's a lot different than just, you know.
Hey, I understand. I want to be on this side of the mic. Trust me. There's a reason why I host this and don't steal the questions. All right, Dan, let's go to you for your round number 5.
Okay.
This is a great NFL video game and also one of the greatest Oi bands ever.
What? Blitz.
Point to the champ.
I was like, I've never heard of an Oi band called Madden.
Dude, NFL Blitz. And shout out to Steve Wyalea, who fucked us for years by that Superfly play that none of us could defend. What's up, Steve? All right. Let's go to Jeremy for round number 6. Jeremy, which came first?
Before we ask that, can I just do a follow-up question on Blitz?
Sure.
Is that the one where you would grab players and like suplex them and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember that game. It was great.
Hey, no rules, dude. Just like the pit. What's up? All right. Jeremy, round number 6. Jeremy, which came first? The Earth Crisis Firestorm 7-inch or the McDonald's Baked Apple Pie?
The baked apple pie.
A point to Jeremy. Holy shit. Baked Apple Pie 1992, Firestorm 7-inch 1993.
So before 92, it was the fried apple pie, right?
Deep fried. Yep.
Yep.
Shit. That's the one that tasted like a firestorm.
All right, Dan. Your question number 6. Time to get this point, dude. Okay. 8 out of 11 songs on Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain have 2 words in the title. Name at least 2 of the other 3 songs.
What? Can you explain that question again, please?
Of course. 8 out of 11 songs on Victim in Pain. The title of the song is 2 words. So that leaves 3 songs that aren't 2-word song titles. Name 2 of the 3 of those.
Oh, okay. I get you. Well, Victim in Pain has got to be one of them.
There's one.
Let me think. Go through the track listing. United and Strong.
All right. And Power would have been the 3rd.
Yep.
So point.
Oh, shit. I would never have got Power because I'm thinking of 3-word titles. And yeah, that. There you go with a sneaky Power.
Hey, dude. And point to Zach for another epic question. All right. Okay. So here are the subtotals moving in to the next round. Daniel, you have 4 points. And Jeremy, you currently have 7 points.
Ooh.
So, Jeremy, we're going to do this daily double based on... actually, you know what? Let me hit the fucking music. What's up?
What? What? Okay.
All right. Daily double. You got to guess the 25 to life lyrics. Jeremy, you have 7 points. How many of those would you like to wager?
I will wager 2 points.
All right. Jeremy's going to wager 2. And Daniel, you currently have 4 points. How many of those points would you like to wager?
I'm going to make it a true daily double, Alex. I'm going to risk the whole shebang.
Oh, dang. Here we go. Dan, come with the NFL Blitz. All right. And Jeremy, we are going to go to you first. You got to hit the yellow button. Here is yours.
Sound like a toilet flushing.
Well, a point. Jeremy just doubled his points.
Oh man, come on.
All right, Jeremy, I will play it one last time. Here we go.
Is it the song Short Fuse? Is it Short Fuse? Short fuse, and you'll keep it on me. Is it?
Need the lyrics, not the song.
I know. Hold on, I'm thinking. Is it? What are you made of? I haven't listened to that in a long time. Even though I do like the first two EPs.
It's on there.
What are you made of? What? Is it Show Me What You're Made Of?
No, but a noble effort. It is from the song Wise to the Game, and he says, from the drugs to the beatdowns.
Damn it.
So, all right.
It's not even close.
All right. Well, here we go.
I love that that's a line. That's a line from the drugs to the beatdowns.
Dude, we got all my straight edge bros on their line. I gotta shout it out to you guys, you know? I keep this in the canon. All right, Dan, let's go to you for your round. And here we go. This is yours.
What you gonna do?
Do you like a guess or do you like it played again?
What you gonna do?
I am like, I've got like half the line, so I've really got to listen to the front part again. If I'm close to getting one, I'm going to Vegas tonight.
All right, listen to it.
All right.
What you gonna do?
Just flip around the router and read the back of the router.
I know.
For real.
Get done with this shit.
All right. I think I've got it. I really think I've got it. 6'2", what you gonna do?
Oh my God. Off by a word.
No!
Oh, that hurts. And it hurts the week that we don't have Ben to be like, we want to give this to him or not. But
oh my God, come on.
No, dude, because it goes against the purpose of what he's singing about. So he says 6 on 2. What you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought he was saying like he's fucking slightly huge because 6'2" is not that big. 6'2", what you gonna do? That's
So
what I thought
close.
he said.
So close. Off by a word. The most noble effort we've had to date. But yeah, man. So the totals are the defending champ, Dan Sant, with 2 points, and dethroned by Jeremy D. Smith, 5 points. Good God.
Oh, redemption.
They're 1-1. Dude, we're going to go to that swing match in a couple months, and it's going to be fire. What's up?
Oh, that furious.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Oh man, what's the 25 to Life song that I almost got? What's it called?
Well, this one is Fight Dirty. That's the one you almost got.
Okay. That's going to be my new favorite 25 to Life song.
one of the two great late 25 to Life songs. But okay, let's wrap this up.
Way to go, dude.
What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, we are talking hardcore, helping out. You know him, you love him. He is episode 1. He is the legend, Joe Rivas. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Also helping out, it is the Sailor Man from Foreign Lands. It is the best dressed man on the pod. It is Daniel Sant. What's up, Dan?
This is how it feels to be lonely. This is how it feels to be small.
Yeah, man. All right. So we are talking some newer punk and hardcore records that started out. And I wanted to discuss the Scowl LP, the Where Flowers Grow, and also the new Chisel LP, which is Retaliation, right, Dan?
Yep. I think Bert named it.
Wow, that hits me in a soft spot there.
I know Bert's throwing his phone across the room right now. But that joke was there for the taking. I had to go for it.
I know. Now everyone's confused. So I'll say it. So Built to Last did a reunion show, and Retaliate played, and they got like professional posters made and put our band name as Retaliation. So that was sorry, and whatever. Anyway, you know what's not sorry, dude, is these two LPs, the Scowl LP and the Chisel LP. They both deliver. Both of these, modern hardcore, like when bands are putting out LPs, like they flirt with putting out like the singles first and so forth, and that can kind of go either way. This year we've seen like the Ikulu LP come out, and I think like the single they put out for it didn't necessarily represent like what the record was going to be, which I think is like maybe the best hardcore record of this year. So that was like a great surprise, even though I do like that song, and I especially like it in the context of the LP. I don't know if it necessarily represented the LP. And then you have the other side with like the One Step Closer LP. That song really did represent the LP, but it was probably the best song on the record. So that's kind of like a weird dance you got to make when you're like deciding what single to put out for your record. And first up is Scowl LP, How Flowers Grow. Came out a few weeks ago. And I think the single they put out, the first single was the first track on the album Bloodhound. And then they put out whatever was like the kind of non-hardcore song, the Seeds to Sow song, I believe.
Yeah, they did a video for that.
Yeah, this band does such a good job with like their imagery, and then also, I don't know, would you consider music videos like a part of the imagery too? It's like the audio and visual package of this band are both like top notch. Would you say that, Dan?
Yeah, and I definitely think videos are now that lots of people can shoot things on their phones and stuff, like it's just another way for bands to give you like a little more of a taste of what they're about, and it also helps with social media and promotion, etc., etc. Also, there's so many creative people out there that, if you're a creative person in a band, you've probably got a creative friend who knows how to put together some awesome visuals,
For sure. How do you like this LP? And what was your familiarity with this band like before this LP came out?
Are you asking me?
I am.
Yeah. I love this LP. Like since this came out, I've listened to it probably like 60 times. Like I play it at work a lot, which is really funny because, people come into my shop and it's like, it's like especially on the parts where it goes really chuggy and like slow and she gets really demonic. It's super cool, but maybe not the best thing for retail, but whatever. So I was pretty familiar with them. I've seen them open up a few shows before this LP came out. But the time that they really captured my attention was when they opened that massive Tsunami Gulch Drain show in San Jose. That was right before Delta came on the scene, or maybe Delta was there and present, but it was right before we all knew about Delta, so you felt pretty decent being in a parking lot with like 2,000 kids all going crazy. And Scowl opened the show, and I was just like, this band fucking rules. Like, it was just such a different kind of sound, like, than what we were going to get later. So it was nice to see that, but I was really happy to find that the LP and the recording of the LP came out really great. I love so much on here. It's funny that you talk about that, the non-hardcore song, what you might call it, like the one that's a little bit different. It's so like X-Ray Specs meets like Lana Del Rey. She's singing really, I don't know, beautifully, I suppose, over that, kind of crazy saxophone part, which gives me total X-Ray Specs vibes. But the first song, Bloodhound, shit, that's so sick. And then the next song, Dead to Me, is also incredibly aggressive song, and it's about like taking revenge on a sexual predator or something. That's my guesstimation of what it is from listening to the song a few times, and it's really cool. I can't find the lyrics anywhere to the things, and I haven't received my LP from the mail order yet. Trophy Hunter, that song is really hard, and I love how it's super hard and then goes into that Seeds to Sow song, which is the X-Ray Specs-esque one. Sam from Drain is on that song Fuck Around, which is on the second half of the LP, and it's super cool. Their voices sound really great together. And he like totally does like one of those patented Drain, like, like super psyched. But the song that interests me the most out of everything, that's a bit different from everything else on the LP, is that song Four Walls. It's later on in the LP. It's really good, but to me, it sounds so much like Ceremony. Like, almost like it's... I don't know. Ceremony have that song. Well, they have two that this song reminds me of: Doldrums and like In My Head, I think it's what it's called. But this song is almost like an homage to it, to an extent.
Yeah, it's the second to last song on the record, and it's a great slow song, which is like, I've always considered that one of the hallmarks of great hardcore bands is like, can you pull off the good slow song and not just have it be like, oh, there's a token slow song on the LP. Like, this is good. And they do all the harmonics on it, which like really add dynamics in the song.
Yeah, definitely. That's a perfect way to sum up if a band can bring it, like, and has variety. And I love that they show that with this song, and then they also show it with the other song where she sings clean instead of screaming. And then the last song is super great too, because, it ties the visual aspect of the album together, because it's called How Flowers Grow. And I think it's really cool about growing as a person, essentially, I really dig this band. They're from Santa Cruz / San Jose / just like all the bands up here, a little bit, let's just call them Bay Area. And I'm psyched that they are around this area, because then I get to see them, more often than, unfortunately, most people will. So I really dig it. I think they're gonna just go onwards and upwards from this, but I think this LP is gonna get them a lot of attention and get a lot of people really riding for him.
Yeah, we should say that last song on the record, that's the only track that is over 2 minutes. This LP is so palatable for being like a relatively brutal hardcore record. First off, like, the recording is so bright and you can hear everything, which makes it so nice, right? Like, they're not trying to be a raw hardcore band and like get like a raw, shitty sounding recording. They're like, we just are raw, try to make everything, come across and hear everything, right? Like, the rawness is in our music. We don't need to like LARP and like get some whack recording to try to sound brutal. Like, they just sound brutal.
Amen. Amen to that, Zach, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves with some of these like really brutal bands where it sounds like it's just a swarm of bees in your ear on the recording. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas this, everything is, you can hear it all and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, and so like this LP, it really flows. It's really easy to listen to for music that is not super, easy on the ears. Like, it's true hardcore, right? And I think it starts out with like memorable first notes, which is important for an LP. Like, you drop that needle, it hits like something that like sounds familiar right away, which is super rad. throughout the album, lots of tempo changes. I love that they keep like things super simple on some parts. Like they're not trying to be zany, you know, like the second track that just starts out with like that really basic drum beat. It's so ill. Like I love bands that go there, and that's kind of like a Bay thing. Like right now, like both Tsunami and Gulch, like they both have parts of their songs that just do like an actually more simple drum beat. Like just they go do dat, kind of like that caveman beat that we talk about.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. Now the vocals are a little bit buried, I think, but it's so crazy because so they're buried and she snarls a lot, but somehow like they're actually kind of clear and you can understand like half the stuff that she's saying, which is pretty wild when you think about it, right? Like they're a little lower in the mix than I would have liked, and she's like going for it, but still like you can pick up on some stuff. It's like a wild thing. Like my brain isn't computing it, but it's super cool. The song Roots is probably my favorite track. It has like a good slow breakdown that's like on the toms, but I love that like when it does the transition to the ride cymbal and she doesn't sing on that part, so it like lets it breathe. It's really cool. And then I made notes on that Four Wall song that it's like a killer slow song with big ass dynamics. Overall, this LP is like, I was surprised how much I liked it. So much respect to Scowl. Joe, what was your take on this LP?
Yeah, so you guys touched on pretty much everything I was going to say about it. You know, all the songs except that last song are under 2 minutes. Most of them are under 1:30, or really close to 1:30, which is nuts. It's a 10 songs, okay? So it's not a ton of material, but it's like just enough to like man, I'm going to listen to that again. You know, like it makes you feel like you can take it again, because it's not an overload of stuff. You talked about the quality of the recording. I found it odd that they didn't go the route that you guys were talking about, that you're glad that they didn't go. And I'm glad they didn't, because it sets it aside from everything else. You know, like trying to make it sound like some profane existence stuff or something like that, where making it break up on purpose, so just to give it that grime edge to it or something like that. Track 5 sees the so it, like you guys said, it's different than anything else on the record. Now I understand that they have other stuff like that on previous, I think an EP or something that came out before, at least a song like that. Or
I'm not sure if they ever went that far.
Tracking, well, yeah. Let me rephrase that. Tracking into getting to that point.
Right, they gave a little teaser, maybe.
Yeah. You know, like this is we're dabbling in this, and then here's the full fledged thing. You know, I dig that. I dig that a lot. All the songs are good. I liked what you said about that. You know, they didn't go crazy with musical, flirtations. You know, there's no shredding or anything like that. It's just power throughout from top to bottom. And I really dug that.
I think that's a great way to put it. And I also think that, Joe, you highlighting like the length of this is really important, because this thing is like the perfect length for a hardcore record.
Yeah.
It's like that early 80s shit where like, this like LPs come out and it's like, is this an EP or an LP? It's like, it's enough material that you're like, okay, this isn't like a teaser. It's not like a 3-song 7-inch or something.
Right.
It's like a nice chunk where like you get a nice piece of the band. They're like fully represented, but it doesn't drag. Like this is so palatable. And like you said, like you get to the end of it and you're like, fuck, I'm going to listen to that again. This is where it's at, dude. The 15-minute hardcore record, like, holy shit. It is like lengthwise, this thing is absolutely perfect. Like I would love to see that replicated over and over. Dan, any final thoughts on this record before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, Joe, you both touched on the fact that, like, vocals are buried in the mix, but those parts where it goes down to like the chuggy parts and she really starts snarling and stuff, then then they almost rise up, and it's so hard. It's maybe because the music like isn't strumming all the way through or something, but I love it. And like I said, I've listened to this about 60 times since it came out, so I'm really digging it. It's gonna be one of the ones of 2021 I remember.
Yeah, and I saw them open the first night of the Powerhouse reunions. They opened that show, and they were great. So like Daniel said, delivered live. Now they've delivered on LP format. Fuck yeah, Scowl. What's up? Yep. All right, let's move on to the Chisel LP, Retaliation. This is like, man, this is one of my most anticipated LPs that's come out in the last couple of years. Dan, I'm sure you're in the same boat. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I was really looking forward to this, especially after the Flexi, because you and I both have remarked that the second song on the Flexi, like, is just the best, like, messaging and music of the year. You know, when we get to that Super 7, we're going to be fighting for that song, I bet. But this came out, and like, you just said on the Scowl thing that the first couple notes you hear on the LP like let you know what you're getting into. It's so funny, like the first couple notes on the first song, Unlawful Execution, it's essentially like Youth of Today, but
it's
then
wild.
But then everything else kicks in, and it's so not Youth of Today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let me jump in on that. Like that was my biggest surprise of this, because they've just done little like samples of music like throughout their career, I guess, if we want to use that word, which feels so awkward. Yeah. But I did not know what to get, like where this LP would go, and it starts out with a rager, like Dan's saying. And I think that's like kind of my biggest takeaway, which is surprising in a great way, is they kind of just turned out a great hardcore record, and it's like they have these like faster bangers that really cut up the album nicely, and they make like the melodic street punk / oi tracks stand out and be like these great tentpole songs. Yeah. And Dan, go back to you.
Yeah. So it comes out the gate with essentially 5 blasters in a row. It's pure like oi hardcore. It's almost what you would think if Slapshot started in 2021, what they would sound like to an extent, Yeah,
but a tiny bit more melody, right? And then also like when you think about like straightforward, like maybe oi hardcore, like it's more street punk than like an 86 mentality or something. They really do lean into the melody big time sometimes.
I think that's just basically being a skinhead band to an extent, and going off of the lineage, especially because they're English, going off the lineage of all those records that came before. One thing that is really great about the LP is that I would say 80% of the songs are angry, politically based lyrics, railing against what society is nowadays and how the powers that be divide us, stoke up anger amongst people that should be uniting. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of that lyrically on here, which is, the lyrics are not, extremely verbose or like, Shakespearean sonnets or anything. They're very straightforward street punk, like lyrics that are getting to the point, so everyone can understand that, we're not supposed to be constantly under the foot. We can all come together and do something about it, which is touched on many, many songs. I would say, going off of what you said, like the fact that they have so much like fast, raw aggression on this LP. It does make the, Not the Only One, Tooth and Nail, those like very much like in the traditional Coxpara-esque sounding Oi songs, the ones filled with a lot more melody and a lower tempo. It really makes them stand out to the point where you almost wish the LP was half and half, like that they did more along that line, because I think they're really firing on all cylinders when they hit those lanes. I mean, not to take anything away from how pissed and fucking great, the rest of the LP is. I think my least favorite song is probably the last one, which is the one with the harmonica and the, it's like almost like a Pogues-esque, like almost like a shanty, like ballad at the end. But I really love this LP. I'm gonna, it's only been out a little while, and I must have listened to it about 25 times already as well. Like I was waiting for this one, and it has delivered, and I'm really psyched on it. I want to see where it goes. The other song that doesn't quite do it for me as much, it sounds great, but the lyrics to the song Crockett, it's just so typical. Oh, this, there's this person from the neighborhood, he's fucking hard. Like, I like when they're saying something a bit more, which they are doing on 95% of the LP. So I love where their mind is at. I love where their ears are at, and I love what they're giving us. Like the Chisel LP fucking holds up. It's amazing, and I hope they come to America soon.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the last track on the album, though, Will I Ever See You Again, is kind of a swing and a miss. But like I appreciate that they're going there. We talked about it on the Chubby and the Gang LP that like they did 3 ballads on that record on the second LP, and only 1 out of 3 hit. So like you got to kind of swing for it, right? And that's the right spot to do it. Put it as the last song on the record, and like it, bump it or dump it. I think that's like the right spot for it. So yeah, overall, I think this record's great. I actually like the recording this time around, maybe because this is the first Chisel stuff that I've listened on headphones. Usually I'm just listening in my truck, and their recordings kind of hold the band back, I've thought before. And their songwriting just makes me love the band, like in spite of the recordings. So I don't know if this is a step up or what, but I enjoy it. Straight out the gate, that Unlawful Execution, just raging hardcore track. I love that it caught me off guard and they went there. It just makes them spectacular, right? Like instead of, shocking me with like that last song on the record, like the Pogue stuff, like here they are shocking me on the other end of the spectrum and like stoking me big time. Like I absolutely love it. And also like it gives those like highs and lows on the record. Like I love, anyone that knows me, we don't talk about it on the podcast that much, but I love Tom Waits, and I especially love his stuff in the 80s and the early 90s when he like goes into his weird shit, and he has these songs on the record that like I feel like they're setup tracks, right? Because like still his crooners are the best songs, like his 70s type songs, and he still has them like when he gets weird, but you have all these like little setup tracks that are strange and whatever, and they set up like the big tracks, and here they are like doing that song out the gate, which is like a blazing track and is great in its own right, but it sets up like the song Retaliation, like the second song, which is just fucking perfect, right? Like this is about as good as like Oi or Street Punk gets in 2021. Like just everything is perfect about it. Like I can't even break it down because how do you? Like it's just perfect guitar rock, And then the third song on the record they do, the Come See Me song, it's like kind of a mashup of the two. It's like this is like hardcore and Oi, like weird. It's a weird mashup that just works because it's such a great band. Then the So Can I song, they slow it down a bit, and it just sounds fucking hard. Like they're taking you on a ride on this LP. It is so good. The Not the Only One song sounds very, very close to like Blitz New Age, which is funny because I've always wondered why that song hasn't gotten like covered to death, in like kind of punk, like to do it with a punk recording instead of like that nice, clean recording that Blitz has on that song. So here it kind of is, you know what I mean? Like it's so similar. My favorite track on that record is the Tooth and Nail song. Again, It's just like a perfect mid-tempo, melodic street punk song. It's great.
It's almost like We're Coming Back by Cocksparrow.
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. There's so much stitch back to like the classic, early 80s Oi stuff. And this drummer's right hand is like the star of the band. Like his like double time on the hi-hat is so rigid and so good. And it just keeps the songs having like that pulse. Like if this band did not have a drummer that played like that, they would lose like half the soul. So I absolutely love it. Joe, before I shoot it off to you, Dan, I just want to discuss like, how do you feel about them not putting What I See on this record? Right? Like you write maybe like the greatest song of 2021, put it out on a flexi, which is a fucking toy record, garbage format. And then here your LP's coming out and you leave like the greatest song of 2021 off the LP. Like, I just think like, I know I'm being neurotic here, but like as a record collector and someone that likes to look at these like big tentpole LPs of bands, like it's just, I think it's disappointing that like that song didn't make it on. Like, and think about it in the context of like some of the early 80 UK bands that are playing the same style, right? Like, what if like Cockspar, they do England Belongs to Me as like a single, it still goes on the record. Blitz, like Warriors comes out as a single, it still goes like on Voice of Generation LP, right? Like it's not a faux pas to like do that. What's your opinion?
I say get rid of Will I Ever See You Again and put that song right in its place.
Well, I like that they went there. Just because I don't like the song.
I do agree. I love that they went there. I love that, and it's not that I don't. I probably would like that song against other thing, if it was a single, if it was on its own flexi, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's sick. But God, if they'd only ended this LP with that song we're talking about.
Oh my God. I know.
Instant
it
5
hurts.
mics in the source.
Yeah, I think it hurts not having that song on the record. Like literally, you wrote the best song of 2021. Like put it on your fucking LP. Come on. But whatever. This thing is great effort. Joe, what's your take on it?
Yeah. So, I just want to talk what you were just talking about. Throwing the single on to the record. That's an old school trick too, though. So especially UK band stuff. Like the Beatles. That's all they did. You didn't get any of the hits on any of the actual Beatles songs. I mean, Beatles albums when the LPs came out, although there were hits on the albums too, but Strawberry Fields or, like all that stuff wasn't on any records. So I guess I kind of understand what they're doing, but I would be afraid not to put it on the record. If the song is that good. I don't even know what song you guys are talking about, but if it's that good, I would be afraid not to put it on the record. Like here's my Gravy Train. People are going to buy this again, especially if it's a different recording too.
For sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So now you get the production value of this new version of it or something like that. But they didn't. So there's 14 songs. Most of them are under a minute 30. So like the previous album, this is really easy to listen to from top to bottom. I got ADD bad usually, and so I'm always clicking to the next song or skipping to on a playlist or whatever. This was really easy, just here we go, next song. Okay, this is great too. Okay, and like you guys both had mentioned that they threw little flavors of different styles of street oi, hardcore, almost some a little bit of new schoolish stuff in there too, like just hints of it, throughout. So I was really satisfied with everything. I liked all the songs. I didn't really get to read lyrics, if those even exist yet. Well, I mean, I know their lyrics exist, but if you can even access them. So I didn't try to do that on this. So I don't really know what songs are about, but the recording, as you said, is really good. I really, really enjoyed this. The clarity of instrument placements and stuff, the drums panned properly, like all of those things. It was really nice to listen to this with my headphones on. So, and in my car on my drive home today. So, because this is the last one, I needed a little bit more to it, So I listened to it like 3 times at work today. So,
is having like your LP easy to make it all the way through? Like the biggest modern punk and hardcore win, like in the Spotify era, like the fact that you can put out a piece of music and not have people like skip and just have like, a third of your album be banger tracks. Like that kind of seems like the biggest modern win to me now.
Yeah.
And both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Ben and I had a conversation not that long ago where he was saying like, we were basically just talking about like what kind of things we're going to be thinking about for the end of the year lists, and he's like, I don't think I've had I like one record that I like front to back. And I'm like, well, that's not because of the records. That's because we are in streaming world. And it's so easy to bounce to something else,
Yeah, and that's why he gets to have his little segment where he rails off someone he's not on the episode. Like this year is so banging, dude.
Oh my god, it's when we get to that point and we've got to put just 7 songs forward, I'm gonna jump out a window. This year has been amazing. I love this year for hardcore. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Dan, that Retaliation song is pretty good, dude. I think you should pick that instead of What I See. Pretty good fucking song, dude.
We'll see where the dice roll goes.
Tooth and Nail, pretty good song, dude.
Yeah.
Like you might want to pick those. Let my list live.
True. You know what though? We might even have to institute a rule when we get to that area where we can't even pick the same band because there's so much good stuff that we need to talk about. But we'll see. One thing I do like about this band is that they. I did say that they have got, very political leaning songs, which is just important in this world where so many bands are saying nothing, and they definitely are, a socialist band talking about issues that are for the good of the working class and not just saying working class pride where lots of oi stuff will fall down in the past, not fall down, but it just, we're the working class, blah, blah, blah. This is like, no, these are the problems that are infecting the working class and we need to come together as the working class and take on the system. And I think that is, I me, I'm a lyrics guy. I love when bands are saying something. And when it goes along with music and songwriting as good as this, I really love this LP.
Yeah, genre-based tropes, they're great, right? They're why we love certain genres, and some tropes never get old, but it is really like spectacular when bands like write lyrics that stand out above. And this band is they're a spectacular band, right? Like they're awesome. Like we said, this LP was much anticipated. They knocked it out of the fucking park. This is great. Everyone needs to get it. Listen to it on the streaming, buy the LP, check out the songs that I'm going to pluck out and put on the playlist for this episode. Remember, on 185milessouth.com, there is a playlist episode, a playlist link. Click that and you can check out the songs that we talk about on every episode. Final thoughts on this LP, Joe? You got anything?
I'm really glad it was on the list for homework because I really dig it.
Dan, final thoughts?
I just got to say to the 185 listeners, at least listen to both of these things immediately on your favorite streaming platform, but buy them. Both these bands deserve your support, and your record collection will be better with both these LPs in them.
Yeah, and we've talked before about like, what is like the purpose of old people talking on podcasts about hardcore, right? Because it really is like the kids that should shape what pops, what gets popular, where like, the zeitgeist of things are, right? I'm down with that. But I do think that like one thing we have like the experience, like we can pluck out things that have like the merit and the lasting value. And both these LPs, upon, the first handful of listens and like who the bands are, like these do seem like LPs with like lasting value. So like Dan said, these are good ones for your collection. I don't think of these are like flash in the pan bands by any means. I think that both these LPs are fucking great. And that's that. So right on.
The fight lasts for hours, each ram battering the other dozens of times.
Head to head.
All right, we are going head to head. 2 LPs that came out in the year 2000, 2 of the most popular bands of the era. We are putting the Hope Conspiracy LP Coldblue up against the self-titled debut album From Tragedy. And Dan, this was a matchup that you chose. So let me know why you wanted to put these 2 together.
I wanted to put these 2 together for the simple fact that they're both really kind of heavy, brutal hardcore without being metal. 2 different genres, but I would say lots of people who have one of these LPs have the other one as well. Do you know what I mean? Both these LPs really did amazing things in that year for both these bands. And I thought it was a pretty cool thing that they came out in the same year. So it puts it on the same playing field in that regard as well.
Well, right on. Let's jump right in. Which one are you taking, dude? Which one's better?
Shit. Well, let me talk about Coldblue first. I love the way it opens with the bass and the drums going like quick. And he comes in with "Kill these words." And what I love about Hope Conspiracy in 2000 compared to, I mean, I like Hope Conspiracy the whole ride, don't get me wrong. But what I love about in the year 2000, the band is really, it's basically unbroken 7-inch core. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of these songs have the same kind of like attack and sound and speed and as the unbroken 7 inches do, especially the and Fall on Proverb 7-inch. So also I love that his vocals, Baker's vocals on this album in particular are a little bit higher in the register and not as growly as they get later on. And I think that they sit perfectly above the music or within the music. Super cool. I love the songs Fragile, Carved Out, Divinity Sickness, and then probably my favorite on the LP is the last song, Liar's Parade, with the fucking like taxi driver part. I'm talking to you. Like it's so fucking cool. It's such a great LP. Now, I listened to this a million times in the year 2000, and then I also listened to the Tragedy LP a million times in the year 2000. And the thing about the Tragedy LP, the way it starts with the acoustic like intro, and then And then literally, in cartoons where the piano comes out the window and just lands on the head of someone.
Yeah.
That's what happens with this first track, The Point of No Return. It just smashes you right away. Do you know what I've always thought is funny, though, about the end of this song? Where the main vocalist is like, and they won't have to burn the box. And then the other person, when no one reads him anyway. But the way he does it, he's like doing growly vocals, but it's almost like he's like regretting it halfway through. He's like, and no one reads them anyway. I don't know. That's just something that like always sticks out to me about that. What I love about Tragedy and this Tragedy LP in particular is when it's part Discharge, obviously, it's very DB. It's what brought a lot of the DB stuff back to the forefront of being in everyone's record collection. But it's also got like Sabbathy parts and like Neurosis parts. And for lack of a better thing, even like Snapcase-esque parts. Like the guitars do very atypical things compared to how dirty and grindy and Discharge that the rhythm section is going, and then the vocals are really gruff on top of it, but when the guitars go and utilize those guitar pedals and go for the higher parts and expand the musical like landscape of what these crushing 1 minute 45 second like punk destroying songs are, I think that is the beauty of Tragedy. That is why they stand above everybody else who channels this sound, is that they just are so talented and utilize such atypical parts going into this music. And that's why this LP is I just said it earlier, but it's a 5 mics in the source classic. Like, I'm going Tragedy just slightly over Coldblue, but I love both records. And if anyone is listening to this who's never heard either of them, oh my God, you're in for a treat.
Yeah. See, this matchup, I wanted to do the SSD LP versus the DYS LP because I thought it was close. The Tragedy LP bodies HopeCon. Like, I'm trying to figure out a way to dance around this and stay positive. Because, I don't know. I'm going to send it to Joe while I still figure out how to dance. I got to learn how to dance. I got to watch some YouTube videos real quick.
Yeah, I was just going to follow off you're dancing because the Tragedy record just crushes that the Hope Conspiracy record. Those songs of this Hope Conspiracy record is fantastic. It's great, but it's the Tragedy stuff is way more up my personal alley of what I love. So the songs are they're about equal footing. 10, 14 songs, 10 on the HopeCon and 14 on the Tragedy. The later the what is it? Vengeance? Is Vengeance next? I can't remember the order.
Vengeance is the second LP.
Yeah. So their recording budget got way better on the next record, on Vengeance, because it sounds so much better than this. But this, if you take it in evolution from his Heroes Gone to this, so it makes sense that this is the next like evolution of what they sound like. But it's still we talked about the other records earlier that they stayed away from dirtying themselves up on purpose. These guys didn't dirty this up. That's just the way it is. That's just the way they sound. It captures them clearly. It got better. So the recording is better on the next, on Vengeance and in the next record after that. The Hope Conspiracy stuff, like I said, is really good. I like that all the songs are super short. It's an easy listen through from top to bottom. It's just not my thing. So that's all I got to say.
So 2 for Tragedy. All right. Let's see. Let's just talk the Tragedy LP first. Dude, this is like, I don't know, it's 20 years ago, modern now, but whatever. This is like in my span of being into hardcore, this is like a classic that I lived through, right? Like you take a genre like D-beat, which is like tried and true, and add melody to it. This is like genre smashing, great LP. Like they're writing like D-beat opuses, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like what's the Confessions of a Suicide Addict, something like that. Advocate. Like, yeah, that's like a 4-minute song, and it's just like, give me more. Like it could have been 17 minutes. It's like keeping my attention, and I don't want any song to be over 90 seconds. You know what I mean? Like these guys tap into something that is just like godly. Like this LP is so brutal. And Dan, I think it is important to mention, like, this isn't just D-beat adding melody. Like you said, like they're drawing in, you know, some Sabbathy stuff. It's really like a conglomeration of like any band that wears like cutoff jean vests, you know, like they took the best of like those bands and like put it here, you know, it is so ill. Like this record, I don't know what to say about it, dude. And the craziest thing is I like Vengeance more, you know, like these are 2 of the most unfuckwithable LPs like in the history of music, because like, again, I don't do a carve out for like, oh, it's great for a hardcore record. No, hardcore music's the best music on the fucking planet. This is like one of the greatest guitar music records of all time, you know, and their second record's even better. Like, what the fuck? You can't put anything against this stuff, because it's like, it's one of those records when you put it on, you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life, and nothing can beat it, you know? And there's lots of bands that I feel that way anytime I put it on, you know? It's like, you put on Minor Threat, I feel that way. Put on Youth Today, I feel that way. Put on Agnostic Front, I feel that way. Madball, I feel that way. Like, Bad Religion, I feel that way. Like, but it's like, good God, dude. This thing is ridiculous. Now, moving on to the Hope Conspiracy LP. Well, give me another minute. I got to watch another YouTube video on how to dance. I mean, look, I don't like this. Yeah, I'd rather be stuck in the Revolution summer than have to listen to this again.
What? Really?
Yeah, I don't like it at all. It sounds like you're right, Dan. Like it sounds like it's absentee debate core, you know, but those last 2 Unbroken 7 inches are great because they're just 2 songs and they're making like that left turn out of like a classic LP. I don't think I want to listen to a full LP of absentee debate like 10 times. You know, I like it because it's like this standalone song that sounds like nothing else Unbroken does. Unbroken is a spectacular band that knocks like everything out of the park, and they attack like this other like way of writing a song and do it again. You know, but here it is kind of like in LP format, and it's like a miss. Like it's just not as good as that. And this like genre is just, I don't know. I like that both of you guys like that. That makes me feel better. And this, I think the first time I've ever been kind of negative on the pod, so I feel really dirty and awkward about it. But like this kind of music is like one of my least favorites in the world. Like, I don't know, like it's straddling the line between like metalcore and rock and roll. Like, stop it, dude. I'd rather just listen to like something brutal or listen to Motorhead. You know, like this mashup is, I'm just not feeling it, you know? And I listened to this record a couple times, and the first time around, I was like, okay, that third track, like the Truth and Purpose song, like that song bangs, dude. I'll give it to him, you know? And then on like subsequent listens, I was like, God damn it, I don't like that song either, you know? So I guess I'm stuck with like the riff on Consumed, which is like ill as hell, like super heavy, awesome, heavy riff, but then like it just goes into that fucking shitty beat. I hate this. Like it's like the Leave It Alone beat, but like slower. Like the snare is on like the 1. So it's like dot 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 dot. It's like there's nothing aggressive or wild about it. It's just so trotting, and I don't know. I don't like it. Like, I don't know what to say except that this band was a good band. I saw them You know, it's like they're a pro-core hardcore band, and they were good, and people loved them, and I ride for hardcore, so I was happy for their success. But I just don't like it. So that's it. And to put it up against like one of the greatest hardcore LPs ever was a savage move, Dan. So the Tragedy LP bodies this, and that's that.
You just did. You just threw. So the Tragedy LP is the Undertaker on top of the steel cage, and HopeCon is Mankind.
No, dude, this is like straight King Kong Bundy, SD Jones. You know, this is rough. That's like the 8-second win at WrestleMania 1, you know? Like before they even had lights in the crowd. You know? So again, I don't feel good about it, and people love this LP, so this is just my whack taste, right? I don't like a lot of stuff, you know? And usually I get to be positive on the podcast because I'm choosing what we talk about. You know, and I did try to give this like a fair shot. And so this band did great. They don't need my support. Like they don't need my love, we should say. I support them. I wish their success and legacy, you know, the best. But I just
every time you try and like say, well, you know, I'm happy for it. It's just such a it's even worse than just saying I don't like it.
Well, I'm sorry for that. I feel very guilty, and I'm going to go take a bath in tomato juice like I got sprayed by a skunk. I don't feel good about being negative on this podcast. It's not what this podcast is about. So, Daniel, that was rude.
Yeah, but you know what? I enjoy both a lot. You know,
and I was stoked that Joe liked HopeCon. Like, that was great. I want, you know,
it's good.
whatever. Yeah, right on. I'll shut up now.
And you know, I understand all your points, but you know, I liked it because of that. I guess you know that it had this quirky, I don't know, rock metal thing with it. You like what you're talking about. You know,
yeah.
I'm not going to buy the record, but
well,
yeah,
what I think about HopeCon is they go right up to the point of metal without being metal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
mean? Yeah. I've said enough, dude.
Yep. Okay.
Tragedy wins, you know, but we somewhat knew that, but I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. This is the Modern Mike. These are like his two favorite bands, so this will be interesting to ask him about later on.
Well, don't make me feel extra bad. Like, oh, this is like the nicest guy on Earth's, like, other than Andy Diehard. The second nicest guy on Earth's, like, favorite matchup. You know? That sucks. All right. let's wrap this up. Dan, say 2 more positive things about HopeCon, and we'll wrap up the segment.
They fucking bring it live or brought it live, but I think they're getting ready to do some new material and stuff. I believe that they've been meeting up and recording. Niraj has been coming up and playing with Jonas. And we went on tour with them with Death Threat and Carry On and HopeCon and us, and it was one hell of a good time.
God damn it, baby, no, I ain't lying to you. I'm only going to tell you one time.
All right. One thing I wanted to do with the pod, and we did it before with bringing on Matt Henderson for a couple of questions, is I really want to just have like little segments sometimes of people telling fun stories. So if any of you people listening out there want to come on and tell a story, hit me up, and we'll put the story on the pod and talk about it a little bit. And so Ben has been telling me for a long time, he's friends with Adam that played in the band Excel. And he's like, he's got this crazy Darby's Crash story. And so, you know, he told me about it. I was like, you know what? Hit him up and see if he's down to come on the pod and tell the story. And then we'll chat about it. So Ben asked Adam, and Adam was gracious enough to come on and tell the story. So we're going to play it, and then we're going to talk about it on the back end.
So we're here with Adam Siegel, who is a founding member of the band Excel. He was the guitar player of Excel on the first 2 albums, and he's also a founding member of the band Infectious Grooves. And he has this great story to tell us.
All right. My story goes back to 1980, Los Angeles, the Fairfax area to be exact, down the block from Slash Records, actually, where I grew up. And I was 11 years old in 1980, and there was, I was into music. I didn't really know what punk was yet, besides maybe the Clash and Sex Pistols, but listened to a lot of Cheap Trick and Led Zeppelin and that kind of stuff still, Devo. But anyways, I was super into music, and this at night there was these the summer of 80, there was these reoccurring parties in at the house that butted up to our backyard. So our backyard shared a fence, and if I peeked over the fence, I could see what was going on back there. And there was loud music, sounded totally crazy, and I'm just like, this is awesome. And I'm peeking over the fence, at nighttime, checking the stuff out. A bunch of 100 adults doing all sorts of stuff. It was just crazy looking, and to an 11-year-old. And I got to see like 2 or 3 of those, and I was curious who lived there. So me and my neighbor, a guy named Chris, we went through a hole in the fence and or moved some wood aside and got through the fence and to the backyard, and we saw this back house, like a converted garage kind of guest house, and no one was there. The door was open, and so we went in, and there was just crazy skull graffiti, basically just punk rock graffiti, 1980. It looked like The Mask, I guess, now in hindsight. But it was scary. Like the mattress on the floor, like shit all over the place, pizza boxes. So we got out of there pretty quick, and I never really thought about it much until one day. Cut to I'm 19 or 20 working at Tower Video in Westwood in the art department, and we had a magazine rack, a magazine stand kind of thing on the second floor, and we had cool books and magazines and all sorts of stuff. So I was reading a book called Famous, Death Locations in Los Angeles, or something like that, where they talked about Marilyn Monroe, all these people who died in LA and how they died and what the what the address was and all that kind of stuff, where it happened. So I saw Darby Crash, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder where he died. And I'm reading the story, and I'm like, what? I read the address, and it's literally the block, behind my block, and I'm like, my brain's starting to work, and I'm putting it all together, and I'm like, oh shit, that was Darby Crash's pad, or he was, I don't know, I didn't know anything about it, before the internet, and I couldn't really start Googling stuff, but suffice it to say, that's where he died. And so I'm like, who was playing these parties? Was it the Germs? Was it, but I really don't know what bands were playing the parties. And all I know is that he died there, and his, I guess his friend Casey Cola lived there. Her mom lived with her mom, or I don't know the details, but it was her house, and they lived in the back house together. And that's what I saw and heard.
Yeah, the book is the LA Musical History Tour by Art Fine, which Art Fine is a friend of my dad's, and it came out in 1990. So 10 years later, you open this book and you realize that crazy room with all the skulls in it is the death site of Darby Crash, which totally trips me out, because then you and you end up forming Chaotic Noise 5 years later, or Excel after that. Is that right?
Yeah, well, 83 we formed Chaotic Noise. So 3 years after that, and yeah, a lot happens in 3 years. I probably got into punk, or started being exposed to punk rock in a year or so after that. Living down the street from Slash was also cool, because when I started, I would see a little sidebar story, but out of the living room window, I'd see people like I've that look familiar. Like I think I saw X and like the Blasters and bands, who would park on my block and then walk down to a couple hundred feet down to Slash Records on the corner. And just anything, involving music or anything just really got me excited. So I went down to Slash and just walked up the stairs and just said hi. And, I'm like 11 or 12. And this nice lady brought me down to their distribution it was not a garage. It was like just a storefront that was, kind of had a boarded up, not for business, but they stored all their vinyl in there. And just gave me like a stack of records and said, listen to these. And it was like, The Decline and all sorts of stuff.
And who was that lady?
Who was that lady? I think her name's Lisa Whittemore, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, she was super cool. Like it was scary going up there. There was like, whiskey bottles and adults and,
From reading the Darby Crash book, I think that they actually had shows in that backyard that was against your backyard, and
oh, man.
At least cool. Either 45 Grave or Vox Pop performed in that backyard, or both. Because
well, I'll tell you what,
both bands.
I always thought. I mean, as soon as a couple years later, when I got into punk rock and started, seeing what bands look like, 45 Grave always struck me as the band I remembered. Mainly because of the singer. I just remembered, a blonde woman, and so I think that's maybe what I saw.
Yeah, and the trippy thing is, I grew up 9 blocks away from you, and I
know
I tripped out on that book too, because that's when I found out where Darby Crash died, and I remember seeing written in the pavement. In front of my junior high were all these punk bands that I was listening to. And I think that was you wrote that in the pavement 10 years earlier. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I did a lot of sidewalk graffiti before I, did normal graffiti.
So we had the same life, 10 years, separated by 10 years, but same junior high, listened to the same bands, lived in the same neighborhood, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it lit his head up like a fucking Christmas tree. But enough about you, Ben. But yeah, that was a great story. Like there's a few parts of it that are neat, right? Obviously, like the Darby crashing is wild. Like imagine you share a fence with like the house where 45 Grave played a backyard show and
right.
Darby Crash died, and then literally a couple years later, like you're starting your own punk band, and then he's like a lifer, like a punk lifer, right? Like, yeah. It's so amazing to me, like early in punk, like the late 70s, early 80s, like it's just such a short amount of time and like so much happens, right? Like imagine missing that by like 2 years. That's so wild, in the span of like being into something for 40 years. Like it just sounds like cruel and unfair, And then also like going into Slash, like that's so cool. Like being a kid and just going in and being scared because there's like adults and whiskey bottles and them just being super cool and giving you a stack of records. Like what a win.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that story, Joe?
Yeah, the story's rad. His side tangent is great too, where he talks about that, getting those records, seeing, probably Exene or like whoever walking up to the, park in front of his house and going over there. All that's just super cool. Yeah, I could just imagine that. Like, had you actually known who they were too, like how much more excited you'd be, still being an 11-year-old kid, but like that's freaking, that's John Doe right there, or Darby for that matter, in his backyard, or touching his backyard. That's like Forrest growing up with, because he had he shared a corner with Henry Knowles from Aggression. Their backyards touched in the corner, and then like the Misfits were like staying at Henry's house, and Forrest was throwing rocks at him over the fence and stuff. So,
so cool.
Who are these kooks?
Yeah. Dan, jump in here.
I mean, can you imagine that both Darby Crash and Adam were walking the ground where 20 years later Ben Edge would be close by. Can you imagine?
I mean, that's the craziest thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Predating Hollowed Ground.
I think the part of the story that's pretty fucking crazy is like, what is that place? Oh, let's just jump the fence and walk in their house.
Yeah.
Wild. But yeah, I mean, that would be like, you know, living in Macclesfield and like being near the house where Ian Curtis like committed suicide. You know, it's just like eerie and legendary and I don't know, just something that you'll always connect you to the music no matter what. You will always have that like, oh my God, I can't believe I was right there without knowing I was right there, you know?
So weird. All right. Well, I think that was fun. Like, I hope that we get more stories like that. And, you know, there's a bunch of people that actually, you know, I was talking to Patty from Dillinger 4. He's got to come on. He's got to tell us the story of how Squirrel from Billingsgate got his nickname. So that's going to be fun. And
Legends
then,
only.
Yeah, dude. And then we got to get Smelly on to tell us about the history of the do-da-da-da. So there's a bunch of stuff we want. But yeah, if you guys are out there listening, you got some wild ass story about being at Fender's Ballroom or some shit, hit me up, 185 miles south at gmail.com, or you can get at me through the Instagram. Me and Daniel both handle the Instagram, so you can get either of us that way. And let us know. And yeah, we'll play a story and talk about it on the back end. Daniel, any closing thoughts? Oh, go ahead.
I can predict how Smelly got his name.
Oh, yeah. He didn't like the shower days, dude. Come on.
I gotta say, you know what? 2021's coming to a close soon, and this has been an incredible year for hardcore. And I have been loving doing the podcast and interacting with people who listen to the pod and like have nice things to say, or even if they want to rail on me for something, which happens just as much as nice things to say. But you know what? I love it. I love talking about hardcore, and I love that the conversations go further. So I really do urge everyone out there to get involved, like send us questions, suggestions, or come on and tell these stories.
Yeah, there is one consensus of all the listenership of 185 Miles South. That's that they all love episode 1, the legend, Joe Rivas. What's up, Joe?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
you know, I gotta agree with Daniel. It's been a great year for hardcore, for music in general. There's been so much good stuff. I'm just so excited about music. You know, maybe COVID was good in that respect. You know, maybe it made people fine tune what they were putting out or something. You know, like, you know, because we only got like just hit record after hit record. Maybe not hits to anybody else, but they were to me, you know? So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's wild. Just expanding on that before we get out of here. Like, I really feel like 2019 was such a special year.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that all across the country, you know, just things were popping. All the music was great. And then it was like, this thing hits, COVID happens. And it's like, in spite of COVID, like, good God, 2020 was one of the greatest years of hardcore ever for LPs. And I was like, there's got to be fall off in 2021. And then the 2021 comes around and it's like, holy shit, it's not letting up, you know, and it's wild.
Yeah.
And those initial shows coming back, like, you know, they were so big and people were so excited. And, you know, I do see a little bit of fall off now. And I think that people, you know, I mean, that's just a thing of a youth culture, right? Everything is so short-sighted, but I hope that people don't, you know, lose track of how special this thing is. And the most special thing is go to shows, pay at the door, support bands, right? Like that's number one is, just do what you can. But number one is just showing up. You know, this is a participation sport, hardcore, and the music is great. The community is great, but you get it live the best in the room, being present, you know, and we can't lose that piece of it. So that's all. Daniel, closing thought?
Yeah. I echo that completely. There's no way to be able to explain how special this thing of ours is without going. Yeah. We talk about the secret handshake, etc., but it's an acquired knowledge. And yeah, get out to shows and force us to get out to shows more, because all those old fogies need to do it just as much, even though it is a kid's game.
Yeah, man. That's right. All right, everyone. We will talk to you on Monday.